Hello and welcome to Better Together. My name is Tony.
And I'm Kimberly. So glad you could join us.
We are talking about real issues that families face, that marriage faces, things that we've dealt with, and we want to help you deal with. Look, we just want to bring value. So glean, eat the meat, and spit out the bones, as I've heard somebody say.
I say eat the hay, spit out the sticks.
Yeah, well, there you go. Maybe you're a vegan, vegetarian, whatever. We're an equal opportunity offender. Hey, we want to talk to you about something that we believe will be very, very relevant. If you're a young parent or even an older parent, your kids are maybe coming into that teenage-ism, something that has been widely acceptable and widely accepted in our culture is the use of cell phones and social media, internet access. I just want to come out very clearly and say this, that whatever you're doing, you just need to understand why you're doing it and what the ramifications of these decisions will be. It's perfectly acceptable. I see it all the time with 8, 9, 10-year-old kids who have cell phones and tablets and things that they have unlimited, unfettered access to. I want to tell you what we did, how we approached it, and what some of the results that we're seeing now really are. So, yes. 3 aspects of this we want to cover.
So one of the first things that we would like to consider talking to you about is the potential for the drama that these devices can cause, but not only that, also the effects that it can lead something called narcissism. We're becoming a more narcissistic culture.
Yeah, I think that we have a tendency, social media helps us make it, we're already inclined to make it all about us. Oh. And kids are somewhat narcissistic. Mine, me, or it's kind of the mantra. That's what they talk about.
They come out of the womb
knowing
the word mine.
Me, mine,
right?
And you say no, you take something away, and they will throw a hissy. So if your kids already have some things, and you learn that, hey, maybe I should rethink some things, they might not be on board. So we'll talk about transitioning change. You know, once it's been let out of the gate, you go, well, I've already introduced it. That means I can't change it. Yeah, you can.
So we are parents of 4 children, and they're all pretty close in age. Okay, so we have really had to be on our guard, but I never really understood the potential of letting a 5th child, if you will, a 5th child into our family with unfettered access and unfettered ways of teaching enter the cell phone.
Yeah. Think about
and
that
then
influence.
Social media. That's
actually an incredibly good analogy. You're allowing another child that embodies different values and different things to come in and influence your children. You would never let your children go over to a pedophile's house or somebody's house that you didn't trust. Yet you allow them to come into your house and influence your kids. And I know we don't look at it that way, but maybe we should just change, the paradigms. Can it lead to narcissism? Can it lead to unnecessary drama? Listen, if you don't have enough drama, fine. Put your kids on social media. With the cyberbullying and all that stuff going on, guess what we never had to deal with? We never had to deal with cyberbullying.
Because we were dealing with it. We were dealing with it in real time, and it's called playground fighting.
Yeah, we had real bullying.
Where you actually got cuts and scrapes and blood drawn.
And people said nasty stuff, and they weren't hiding behind a screen.
Nope.
Or talking to mass people, using their influence to destroy you. They had to do it one by one relationally.
Yes.
So our kids didn't understand it. And listen, your kids may not understand, but why it is not good for them. Mm-hmm. That's why I want to encourage you to parent.
And on another note, I feel, and I'm guilty of this. Sometimes it's easier to parent if they're in front of social media or that electronic device, also affectionately known as the electronic babysitter for some.
And that's what we use it for. I'll see it all the time. And we did it. We had a van, and we would take long trips, and we would turn the TV on. And there's a time for that. There's a time that's appropriate. It actually gave us time to talk and kind of entertain those. But is that wise? Is that the best thing to do? You used to talk about trips that you would take and how you would do scrapbooking as you did those. I know you were miserable and as a kid, but you have something to look back on.
I know, but that's the only child coming out in me. Okay,
right.
But my parents would make us do that. But more than that, when we would go on long trips or whatnot, I remember looking out the window, and it was that time that my mind was engaging in thoughts and creativity and stuff like that. So I feel like not having that stuff on long trips gave my mind a chance to wander and think and dream in a way that I might not have had the opportunity.
It caused no regrets, and that's my point. So let's look at one more aspect. What it does as far as introducing culture. Culture is a result of what you do and what you allow. Culture is a result of the values that you have. When you allow something else to come in and set the values in your family, then you're going to have cultures that are inconsistent with your values if their values are different. And it is an alien entity. It is something that you're just allowing unfettered access to train in values, and as a result, you have the culture.
Right, and I don't know that I would ever remember, or not necessarily remember, but forget, and I missed it. I missed the mark of when enter cell phone and social media, my kids, and mind you, we homeschooled. But my kids, I missed it because my kids, as they were given the access to cell phones and social media, they were caught up in situations and stuff that I didn't recognize. I wasn't fully engaged, and they didn't know how to ask the questions to get the answers. So I didn't know how to help them. I didn't.
We're going to assume as parents that you want to traverse this time with no regrets. I'm just going to assume that your heart as a parent, if you're watching this, is that you get through raising your children and you don't look back with some plethora of regrets, things that you wish you would have done, or things that you should have done, or things that you should not have done. There's just not the positive upsides. We had particular parameters, and I just want to share with you very briefly. We're going to share with you what those parameters were and what the results of those parameters are. When we talk about social media and we talk about cell phones, first of all, it is incredibly addictive. We know it. You probably know it. If you, as an adult, as a parent, don't have the self-control to put this thing down or to not make it the first thing that you pick up in the morning, what do you think a child is going to do? They're going to take your addiction, your lack of self-control to a whole new level if that's not something that's culturally there. So what did we do? What were the parameters that we set and had?
Okay, well, first and foremost, I think that we tried our best to be in agreement with these parameters. And I'm great for thinking about, okay, well, what about this scenario? Okay, what about this scenario? Okay, what about that scenario, right? First and foremost, they're going to be hard to maintain.
They will. Take diligence.
So it takes diligence and dedication on our part. But one of the first parameters right out of the gate was, hey, guess what? You're a woman. The only friends that you're allowed to have are women friends, and you're not allowed to give your phone number to anybody else.
Oh, you mean that my daughter, teenager or otherwise, can't just arbitrarily give her telephone number to a guy? Absolutely not. We said, do not give your number to anybody, one, without our consent. Now, there come a time when they turn 16, they'll just tell you, until they needed one. I didn't say wanted one. Until they needed one, they didn't have one. When my daughters were getting their license and they were going to be in cars, I said, okay, and we agreed on this. Now, we might disagree and have disagreed at times on how well we enforced it or recognized it, and that's why it's so important to communicate. But we said when they turn 16, if something happens to them, we want to be able to track them. We'll need more than a flip phone, because my idea was, hey, let's get them flip phones. And that way they can just call. How much trouble can they get in?
Oh, with the limited amount of minutes.
Yes.
Like they just need 30 minutes.
So we said no social media, because we did get them smartphones. No social media accounts, and we may or may not have ran into problems with that and drama. But anyway, it was never with not having it. But we said, don't give your number out unless you tell us, and do not give your number out to somebody of the opposite sex. Well, that ties into the whole dating, the reason and what dating looked like versus courting and some of those other things. So we're very intentional about that. So,
and we also thought it would be wise for them to use it only in an open forum. So like, for instance, it would be the living room. So they couldn't be using it in their bedroom alone by themselves. I mean, it was just kind of for an accountability thing.
Yeah, so if you were at home, you really didn't need it. In other words, you locked up in your bedroom on it doing whatever is not okay. Now I did have an app that I installed that I could get screenshots that periodically took screenshots of everything they did. And I will tell you, I busted my kids. I busted them on several occasions. They were not these perfectly beautiful, compliant little children. But
they're still not.
Yeah. Well, then they're
getting better.
Because once you open it, 16 or 18, you're opening the door and the horse is out of the barn. Just be wise, be intentional, and be in agreement.
I'm telling you, you enter cell phones and social media, you are parents opening Pandora's box to so many things.
Let me tell you what we don't know, and let me tell you what we do know. What we don't know is the effects of this unfettered engagement in media that no generation has ever experienced before us. Nobody knows what this looks like. We're beginning to see culturally now what the effects are, and they are not good.
I'd say in the form anxiety, self-deprecation,
confusion, identity crisis. I mean, all of these influence coming in from people with nefarious intentions and everything else, and manipulation and narcissism. Guys, it can be avoided by simply turning it off. I never got into a social media fight unless I was on a social media platform. Just something simple. So you say, well, the horse is out of the barn. How do I pull my kid back? You change your values. You will change the behavior, and you will change the culture in your family. Be bold.
Consider modeling. Consider, you know what, if I'm setting these parameters, I'm going to try to model them for my kids.
So listen, if you have any questions about this, or you have any comments and they're nice, okay, we've done it and we're seeing the fruit of it. That's the only reason I'm telling you.
We're in it.
Yeah, we avoided a lot of drama. If you want drama, fine, argue, send nasty comments. But if this is bringing value, like, share, okay, and if you do have questions for future shows, please do subscribe and leave those comments, and we'll try to cover some of that stuff. Again, we just want to bring value to you because we are truly better together.